Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another GovReports webinar. My name is Tony, the Sales and Partnerships Manager here at GovReports. Also with me today, I've got Tiana, and she'll be able to help us out with a few of the questions. And I've also got Sandeep, who'll be walking you through the demonstration. Now, the title of today's webinar, I guess we're going to focus on tax returns today. So we're going to show you a little bit about how you get into those tax returns and what to look out for, but the general gist of the webinar will be the actual tax return module. There's quite a bit to it, but we will try and answer your questions along the way, and we'll also try and leave some time for questions at the end. So we won't be able to hear today, but we do encourage you to put questions into the questions panel, which is the little box with a question mark on the top right hand side of this GoToWebinar app. So if you do think of any questions, just go ahead and pop them in. And as I said, we'll endeavour to answer them as we go, but we'll also leave time at the end. A little bit before we actually get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about GovReports. If you're new, there's probably many people here that have seen us around the block a few times, but if you haven't, we started back all the way back in 2010. So we've been here 16 years. And I guess our goal is to build the best cloud-based lodgement solution on the market. 16 years later, we're still building. So we've got new features coming out every month, new integrations coming out every month, which is really exciting. We've got a really good roadmap this year. And as a standard, we've got in excess of 4,000 customers around Australia. So that includes BAS agents, tax agents, and businesses as well, large and small. So it's quite a good spread there. Obviously, today will be generally focused on tax agents, but if you're not a tax agent, hey, you might learn something as well. So feel free to stick around. Look, that's about it from me. So I'm going to hand over to Sandeep. He's going to walk you through GovReports, as I said, specifically the tax return piece. And I'll catch you guys back a little bit later.
Thanks, Tony. I'll just bring up my screen. So, hi everyone. So in today's session, I'll be covering a few things like a basic workflow about how to prepare a tax return. So from the start to end, how after the submission as well. So there are a few steps. Like I can tell you what are the steps that you can do it. Like prepare a tax return, how to pre-fill the tax return from the ATO, or how to transfer a data from one tax return to the other tax return, and how to clear up all the errors. And so when I'm talking about the errors, so we can just, I'll be deep diving into the error module. So the enhancement that what we have done for this year. And also, once the tax return has been verified, I'll be just guiding how you can send it for an authorization to the client. And finally, how to submit the tax return to the ATO. So I'll be just walking you through the individual tax return first, and then I'll be just taking, covering the trust tax return as well. So the other tax return would be the similar, like when I'm talking about the other tax returns, it is company, partnership, or self-managed super fund, or FBT. All the look and feel of the tax returns are the same. Yeah. So first thing, so when you log into a GovReports account, so you'll be landed on the dashboard. So there are different ways that you can just straight away prepare the tax returns. So either you can jump into your client's profile, or you can prepare from the outstanding reports. So where you can see on the menu on the left-hand side, where you can see the ATO reports, and you can see the outstanding reports. That will give you the whole outstanding reports for the whole practice. So for all your clients that has been configured to get the outstanding reports. So from the outstanding reports, you can see for some of the clients, you can see the fringe benefit, company tax return, and activity statements. So if the client has an individual tax return outstanding, you can see all the outstanding from the ATO. You can just straight away jump into the actions. From the actions, you can see the 3 dots and click on the prepare to prepare the tax return. So this is the first way you can do that. There is multiple ways. This is one of the way to prepare a tax return. Or the other way is that you can just go to the client's profile by going to My Clients, and you can choose which client that you want to prepare a tax return. So we have all the clients. Clicking on the client's name, or under Actions, click on the 3 dots with the open, or clicking on the client's name will take you to the client's profile. So on the client's profile, where you can see on the right hand side, you can see the outstanding reports and the current forms. So if a client has any outstanding reports from the ATO, you can see that we should be listed. So in this particular test account, I don't have any outstanding, but I can just show you that how you can take it from the other clients. Just give me one moment. I'm just jumping into another client where you can see from the client's profile all the outstanding reports. So there you go. You can see the outstanding reports. So from the outstanding reports, you can click on the three dots as you saw that on the previous one, like the practice level outstanding reports. It's going to be the same. Clicking on the prepare will take you to the tax return. The third option, so where you can see the forms button on the top. Clicking on the forms, you can choose which which tax returns that you're going to do that for the client, and based on the client selections, will take it to a different screen. You need to choose which financial year that you're going to go through. I'll be just jumping into an individual client so that I can just show you that how the individual tax return pre-fill from the ATO and rollover from the previous financial year works. Right. So in this case, I have a tax return with the 2024 tax return in the draft format, which has not been lodged, but still I can do the rollover from the draft tax return. So clicking on the forms button on the top right will give you the list of forms based on the client type has been selected. In this, for an individual client, you can get all the other obligation reports as well. So selecting the individual tax return will navigate you take you to a different screen, which will give you an options to choose the financial year. On this screen, so where you can see the financial years from 2020 to 2025, and any tax returns prior to 2020 should be on the older format, which you can see the green button down the bottom. That will give you which will take you to the previous financial year tax returns from 2012 to 2019. From 2012 to 2019, tax returns are through electronic lodgement. Any tax returns prior to 2012 would be through a paper lodgement, which you can just use the previous button. Prior tax returns to 2000 to 2011, you can do the paper lodgements. It means that it will give you an options to prepare the tax return within the GovReports, change the status to the submitter, print the report, and send to the correspondent mail address, post box address to the ATO. And here, once the ATO is processed, you can update the status manually into the GovReports. And also, we have a feature like future tax returns. In some circumstances, that you may need to lodge a future tax return for some clients. That is also available in current financial year. You can do the 2020 tax return, 2026 tax return for the clients. Just going to pick up the 2025 tax return and going to show you that how it works. And where you can see that on the screen, there is one more button which is very useful, which is called the compare. So this compare button, I'm just going to show you that inside the tax return, and you can do the comparison between multiple financial year tax returns, which I'm just going to show that once we start opening on the 2025 tax return. Under the action button for the 2025, where you can see the status as new, it means that it has not been submitted. And the 2024, which is in the draft, just in case if the tax return 2024 has been lodged, you can see which has been lodged, and we'll have an options for doing the revision as well. So in this case, the status is new for the 2025. I'm just going to click on the start button. The start button will give you multiple options, which you're going to see that soon. And also, if you want to see the pre-filled report, you can see the pre-filled report within this tax return for the 2025 from the ATO. And if the client has no obligations to lodge the original tax return, you can lodge a non-lodgement advice using the third button called non-lodgement advice. Just going to click on the start button. So every tax return, when you start preparing clicking on the start button will give you multiple options. That is called the rollover. The first one would be the rollover. Do you want to roll over from the previous financial year? That includes not only the main form, any additional schedules and worksheets that you want to roll over, you will get to roll over from the previous financial year. And there is another option called roll over only the main form. Do you want to roll over all the main form and the schedules, or only the roll over the main form? You will get an alternative option to choose which one you want to do the rollover. Or if you're not happy to not to do the rollover, yes, you can turn it off the rollover. No rollover. You can do that. And so there is an option which recently been added with the deferred losses, business losses. When you do the rollover, there is an options if you want to do the deferred business losses. Yes, by default it will be yes. And just in case if you don't want to do that deferred losses, you can turn that off as well. Third one, the pre-fill from the ATO. So by default, you can pre-fill all the, all the income details available on the ATO, including the income statement, managed funds, interest, or the dividends which are available on the ATO. All the incomes, you can use the pre-fill options to directly download into the tax return. And the third, next one, I just want to point it out, the pre-fill practice details, which is always yes, based on the settings. Just in case if you want all the contact details, the postal address and the contact details needs to be the practice details for the tax return. You can just set that on the main account holder, the administrative account holder. Based on the settings, it will be automatically turned to yes. And when the tax return has been prepared, the postal address and the contact details will be the practice details on the tax return. Even though it has been pre-filled from the ATO, that particular contact details would be changed based on these particular current settings. Just going to create the report now. So when I'm clicking on the report, it could perform all the selections that has been selected on this screen, like a rollover, pre-fill the practice details on the postal address and the contact details, and automatically the tax return should be prepared. And this is the test account. Sometimes it gets delayed, so based on the ATO dependency on the test gateway. So it won't be longer. It will be created now soon. And so this test account will have like a few interest incomes and also some managed funds available, but not the income statement available from the ATO. Just a quick thing. It's getting loading. I'm just going to cancel that and create that again to be quicker. Selecting the individual tax return. All right. I think the tax return has been already created, which you can see that edit button at the moment. Just clicking on the edit, so which will take directly to the tax return. Just a quick overview on the tax return. So the structure of the tax return, how it looks like. So once the screen has been loaded, I can just walk you through on the tax return, the look and feel of our tax return. So we have, just split the screen into three. So on the left-hand side, where we can see the navigation menus, each navigation menus, the navigation has been split into the main form, schedules, and worksheets. Each one will have their own sub menus. So clicking on that particular menus on the left-hand side will take you navigate into the particular sections to do the data entry. And so on the top left side corner, you can see what type of tax return that you're working with the financial year, and also which client that you're currently working on. And so at the end of the client's name, you can see a arrow on top, up arrow. So which when clicking on that, it will open the client details on the new tab, which you don't need to close the tax return to go to the client detail. But clicking on that will take you to on the new tab, the client details will be open. Just going back to the tax return. And on the top where you can see tax estimate. So any tax estimate that has been calculated based on the pre-fill and rollover information. So you can see that when the tax return has been created. So when you're working on the tax return, the tax estimate would be automatically updated. And a summary, like a tax estimate summary has been shown on the right hand side. So the right panel would have the tax estimate and also the error module. So which is the error module is very important, which will guide you and which will give you explain what is the error is about and how to resolve that as well, and what are the fields has been involved. I'll be covering that in details about the error modules. What are the new features that has been enhanced compared to the last financial year. And the navigations on the top, every page or every section on the tax return would have the navigations on the top. Every thing will have the save button, and then navigation button to the next section and the previous section. We can see that on the top, and also when you scroll down the bottom, so there'll be a couple of buttons down the bottom as well to save that particular section. And also you will have a button called save and exit, or the navigation button to the next section. So when you go to the next section, you can see go to the previous one as well. The navigations is very user friendly, which you can see that on the top and down the bottom based on the screen size. You can have that based on the resolution. The buttons are navigation buttons are available. Just quick thing on the top right hand side corner, you can see multiple settings or the menus that I can tell that auto save. So the tax return, any changes that you're making into the tax returns, next 20 seconds automatically the tax return will be saved. This has been introduced to avoid the data loss when you're doing the data entry to the tax returns. Just in case if you are not happy with the auto save options, you can turn that off. And also for this particular tax return, or if you want that to be turned off for the whole, for the whole your account, you can just under the settings, there is an options to turn off the auto save options. That can, by default, the auto save option can be turned off. And the next one is the very important one, which is called the linked clients. So this option has been released last year. So this would be used, like adding the relationship between the clients, or the linking the clients. So to transfer the data from one tax return to the other tax return. It can be an individual tax return like the spouse income, or it can be a rental property income. This is for individual to individual, and also for individual to trust, from the trust, all the trust income. So you can add that individual as a beneficiary on the trust income, tax return. And once the trust tax return has been completed, automatically the beneficiary distributions from the trust tax return can be transferred directly to the individual tax return when the tax return is available. So not only for the trust, and also we have for the partnership and for the dividend company tax return, all the tax returns has been linked. Like the client relationship, you can add multiple, or the cross relationship. So it can be transferred from one tax return to the other tax return automatically. So to do that, you need to do an initial configurations under the clients. You can do either on the under the tax return, or you can do that directly on the client's profile. So which you would have seen that on the previous webinars, that Tiana would be guiding like how to do the client linking on the client's profile. So once the client has been linked on the client's profile, you can see that on the tax return under the clients. Just going to show you that quickly how you can add a client relationship. So I'm just going to add a client relationship. So I'm just going to add a partnership. So I'm just going to choose a partnership client. I think I don't have a partnership client, but a company client. Key. Celino, yeah, Celino private. I got a client, company tax return, which I'm just selecting as a dividends, and also I can add as a subsidiary as well. If it is a company to company, you can add as a company with the subsidiaries. All the subsidiary details can be listed on the company tax return. And down the bottom here, over here, you can see a small checkbox, which is called the synchronize automatic when client's tax return is modified, and vice versa. This is what I'm talking about, like an automatic transfer from one tax return to the other tax return. If you think that I want to do that manual transfer, you can turn this auto synchronization off, and then every time when you do the changes to the tax return, you'll have an options to click on the transfer button, and then the tax return would transfer the details from one tax return to the other tax return. So the previous two linkings, so which the auto synchronization automatically synced, but depends upon how the relationship, the client linking that you're doing. So you can just save the details. Just clicking on save and save changes. Then now at the moment with this particular individual, so there is 3 relationships. So one is like with the spouse, the other one with the trust, then the company. Just going to close this one. Let me move on to the next one, the reports. So the reports menu will give you an options to download the tax returns into the PDF copy. So the PDF copy, so there are 2 ways. I mean, at the moment, the latest release that we have done is that you can just get a full tax return or the compressed tax return. It means the compressed tax return means that, so for example, if you have a field in this medical levy, so only the label Y is available. So it means that on the PDF, you can see only the medical levy M1 and the label Y, but not the label V and W in this particular section. But if you're going with the full tax return, you will get the whole medical levy M1 section should be printed on the PDF. So we have that option under the settings. So the practice can select which options they want that to be printed to their clients. You can use that option. And I'm just going to skip the other items that are just straightforward, and then I'm just going to choose on the compare. So this is what I previously was talking about, the comparison between the tax return. So it means that you can choose up to maximum 3 financial years to do the comparison of the tax return. So I have this is the data available within the GovReports, the 2024, which is just in the draft status, which has not been lodged, but still I can do the comparison with the 2025 tax return after I'm doing the data entry into the 2025. Likewise, maximum 3, so which will give you I can just show you, I'm just going to select 24 and 25, I'm just doing the comparison. So which will take you to a different screen. So that screen will have on the top where you can see which client that you're doing the comparison, and item wise, this is going to be the item wise, and then so there will be selecting the 2 financial years on the right hand side, which will give you the 2 financial year 2024 and 2025, and it will give you the comparison as well. So first one, you can see the salary and wages, item number 1. So on the 2024, which has the salary, the gross and the tax withheld is available, but in the 2025 it is not available. But you can see that item comparative with 2 different financial years. So the 2025 tax return, which I've just done only the rollover and the pre-fill from the ATO, which I have not done any tax data entry. That's why you can't see more details onto that. But this comparison report is available only for the main form, not for the schedules and the worksheets. So it is only for the main form, and you can see the tax estimate between the 2 financial years as well. Just going down the bottom, and on the top where you can see the print button on the top right corner, which will give you a PDF copy about the tax comparison, just in case if you want that to be included as a supporting document to your clients, you can download that into a PDF copy. So the PDF copy is going to be the similar, the same structure what you saw that on the screen. So it will be available to download. Just going to close this one. I'm going to close the comparison. So closing the comparison report will be taking back to the tax returns. So you don't want to navigate to find out which tax return that you're currently working on. If you're working on that particular tax return, doing the comparison and close, which will bring you back to the same tax return. And so on the right hand side, so we have the tax estimate, which a short summary about the tax estimate. What is the income, taxable income, tax offset, and how the tax estimate, you can see that on few lines. But if you want to see the breakdown about how the tax estimate has been calculated, just click on the details button next to the tax estimate. We'll give you the breakdown of how the tax return has been, tax estimate has been calculated. So this will cover all the POG income tax installment paid. It should be automatically pre-filled from the ATO if the installment has been paid. If not, you can just manually add that as well. And it can have the dividend 293 tax, averaging primary production, abnormal income, And down there, how the taxable income has been calculated, the breakdown. So you can see all in detail how it has been done, and also if the taxpayer has any hex or hell, so that would be also have in categorized sections. We can just do the, it could automatically pre-fill from the ATO, and also you can do the data entry as well. And I'm just going into the error module, which I'm just told that we have done some upgrade to the tax estimate. Previously, what we have done is that you can see the only the summary, like short summary, and then detailed summary with the steps to resolve. But now what we have done is that we have just included fields involved in these validations. It means that previously, you know that when you click on the the red circle, so which could navigate you to the particular section or the field which needs to be sorted out. So this can be involved when the validation is involved with multiple fields. So then by default it will be taking you to the first field. But now what we have done is that we have just split that into the categories. What are the fields involved in these validations? You can see that, for example, in this particular error on the right hand side, you can see that 11 fields has been involved, and what is the value available, and what are the, if it is empty, we show that it has an empty. And also there is a on the right hand side there is an arrow, so which will take you to that particular sections to complete that. So you don't want to spend time on going on 11 fields. So in this sections, you can just clicking on the particular one, so that will take you to the field to be completed. So this would be more helpful when you, time consuming. So previously we just based on the client's feedback. So this has been enhanced on the error module this year. So just a quick thing on the left-hand side navigations, which there is no much changes. It's going to be like the same, like the ATO format, like main form, and any schedules are available. So the schedules with the worksheets. So the main form is mandatory, and the schedules and within the tax returns, whatever the schedules that you're adding into the tax return will be sent to the ATO with the main form, and the worksheets adding into the tax return are just for record keeping purpose. It won't, and for the worksheet purpose, and it won't be sent to the ATO. It will be maintained within the GovReports. Few things like an bold text, and then with the numbers, and then with the plus sign. It means when you see that, income statement, you can see the numbers with the plus sign. So it means that you can add multiple income statements into the tax return. With the bold, so it means that it has been included. That's what the bold text indicates. So this the schedule has been included into this tax return. So I'm just going to the other income details, which you can see some of the values which has been pre-filled from the ATO, the label called pre-fill from the ATO. So this label will be available. So when the tax return, the details from the ATO has been pre-filled, and also you can see an options to edit the pre-fill information from the ATO. So once it has been clicked on edit, automatically the label would be removed. It means that it shows as a manual entry. It is not the pre-fill from the ATO. So likewise, you can see that for the pre-fill from ATO for multiple interest income that are available from the ATO. And when the tax return, trust income details, when the trust details or the dividends or been the partner income pre-fill from the tax return, instead of the label pre-fill from ATO, it would say that pre-fill from the tax return. So that each and every section that will give you an indications on that individual tax returns, whether it has been pre-filled from the ATO or transferred from the other tax return. When it is blank, when it has no labels, it means that it is a manual entry by the tax agent. Just a quick thing. So when the tax return is ready, so this is, I mean, like initially I was telling you that the sections what we are going to cover, like prepare a tax return, prefill or transfer from the other tax returns, verify tax return, and send for authorization. So first three steps has been completed, which we saw that how to prepare a tax return and how to prepare, I mean, prefill from the ATO, the automatic prefill from the ATO, or transfer from one tax return to the other tax return. That is called the linking clients that can automatically transfer. The third one is that verify tax return. So it means that how to resolve the errors. So just clicking on the modules, so which will take you to the tax return. Just tick that. Click on save declarations, could automatically resolve all the errors. Number of days. Just going to add 365 days for. So now you can see the tax return is error free. So generally, GovReports, what we do is that we do, I mean, like validation errors. So we check like multiple times, like with the schema validations before we send that tax return to the ATO. That means that there'll be one local validations based on the ATO schema. So we'll compare we'll check all the mandatory fields and also the cross form validations before we send to the ATO. Once satisfy all the mandatory fields and cross form validations, then we'll be sending it to the ATO to do the cross check with the other fields like the installment paid amount. And there are a few certain things that only the ATO can check that. So once it has been verified, then we make that report into a valid status. When I'm talking about the status, that's called the report status, where you can see currently this report is in the draft. To make this report, you need to, I mean, like to lodge a report, the report status needs to be changed to valid. So how you can do the report, I mean, how report can be changed into a valid status, there are different ways. So jumping into a declaration and lodge section, I'm not going to cover each and every module of the tax return. I'm just guiding you how it works and how you can navigate into a different sections on the tax return. And if you have any questions related to the individual tax return, please just let us know. I can just pick that particular questions related to the tax return, just in case if it is related to a capital gain or a rental property, how the data has been transferred, I can pick that as well. So when you go to the declaration and lodge section, so there'll be, I mean, all other sections, we can't see multiple buttons down the bottom, but in the declaration sections, yes, you can see different options based on the user access. So for preparers, there are different roles within the GovReports: administrator, lodger, preparer, principal, and partner. So this submit button will not be available for the preparer. Only the lodger and the, I mean, like except the lodger except the preparer, all others can get this access to the submit to the ATO. And we have a custom role. I'm not going to touch into the custom role. I'm just keeping it aside because that based on the delegations, you can get that ATO submit to the ATO button as well. But the next option is send for signature. This is called the sending for authorization. We have an inbuilt e-signature platform. You can send directly to your clients, and the clients can open the tax return in the mobile app or their laptop or a desktop. They can just view all the tax return in a PDF copy, and they can make, I mean, place their electronic signature where it has been placed to mark to place the signature, and they can send back to you, which has a workflow that automatically the status of the tax return would be updated based on the client's authorization. And we have a button called validate and save. There are a few, I mean, like you can just keep the report into a valid status, and you can just resume that anytime. You can send that to the clients later on when it is required. And this validate button, so we have an, I mean, when I'm talking about the validations, so now at the moment, all the local validations within the GovReport server, all the validation has been satisfied so that there is no error on the error module. So clicking on this validate buttons, we'll check the GovReports local validations, and then we can connect to the ATO to make sure that is satisfied with the ATO validation rules. Now you can see that on the top where it says that validated successfully. It means that the report is 100% satisfied with the ATO and it is ready for the lodgement. Automatically, the orange draft status has been changed to the blue valid button, valid. So now it is ready for the lodgement. Just in case if the clients are happy with the paper authorization, when you get the paper authorization from the clients, you can just clicking on submit to the ATO, can directly submit the report to the ATO. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to show you that other options within the tax return. Right. I'm just going to save and exit this tax return at the moment. I'm just going to keep this as a draft return so that I can just show you that how the tax return details can be transferred from trust to the individual tax return.
Hey, Sandeep, I'm just going to jump in here. I've just got a question from Natalia. It's actually a couple of questions. So the first part is there an option we can add some documents, such as source documents, as a working paper for the tax return? That's kind of the first part.
Right. Right. So in terms of the documents, we are not maintaining on the report wise, but we are maintaining that as in the client wise. So under the client's profile, you will get an options. Just quickly going into the client's profile. You'll get an options to add the attachments so that you can maintain that attachments within, which we have integrated with Google Drive and Dropbox, so that you can attach all the, attachments within on the client level, not on the tax return level.
Yep, cool. And the other part was, if you add notes to a tax return that's already been lodged, are you able to retrieve the notes?
Yes, definitely. I'm sorry, I didn't cover up on the notes. Yes, the notes that has been added into the tax return, it can be printed, and also when you're doing the rollover, so you can roll over the notes also will be rolled over from the previous financial year as well. Yes, you can certainly, you can get that as a PDF copy.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah, I'm just going to pick up one trust. Going to quickly do a trust tax return. Okay. Just going to, as I previously mentioned, there is no outstanding reports, but I'm just going to the forms and select the trust tax return. All right, contact details. Just going to add my name onto that. Sorry.
While Sandeep is entering the details for the client, I just want to make a note. In the reports, when you prepare and the tax return or the report for the clients, you have the options to validate and save. That option, if you choose to use that options, usually it's if you're not sending it for e-signature, and you have other means of getting the clients to authorize for the report. For example, the client might come to your office and sign on paper, or you use another e-signature, for example, then you can update the status externally from the save reports. But it means that the actual return is valid, it's finalized, and then you can add the additional status from the save report itself. Or you can, if you choose later on to send that document for e-signature, you can also do so from the save reports. because it's validated. So on the action tab on the save report profile, you would have the options to send for e-signature. Okay, sorry, send it back to you.
No, thanks, Rihanna. So yeah, I've just completed some required details for the trust. So when I click on the forms and select the trust tax return, so which you can see that like the same structure that we saw that on the individual tax return, you can see that from the 24 and 25 tax financial year. So anything prior to 2024, so you can just click on the previous button. And also the same thing, you can see that with the comparison, non-lodgement advice, one thing that is different from the individual tax return is the pre-fill. You don't have the pre-fill button for the non-individual tax returns. Just going to select the 2025 tax returns. So it means that currently I don't have a 24 tax return. So the pre-fill option, sorry, rollover option should not be available, but the practice details should be pre-filled automatically when I create the tax return. So the structure is going to be the same structure, which we want to keep it as an consistent, and then to keep all the tax returns similar. So yes, so initially when the tax return gets started, it will take a little bit of time. So in the test environment, but once it has been created, it will be quick and easy to navigate between each and every different sections within the tax return. So the navigations on the left-hand side, you can see the difference, like the main form comparative with the individual tax returns, like it is different, like what are the sections available, deductions, business items, statement of distributions, declaration, and lodge. The schedules, yes, all the relevant schedules to the trust would be added automatically. And also we have the worksheets. Just quick thing, I'm just want to quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add one of the income into the tax return. So like a gross thing, so like and the expenses with all other expenses as a 23,000, so that I can just see what is the net income for the trust. So I can just show you that how it has been distributed within the beneficiary. I can just show you that quickly. So before that, we need to make sure that all the things needs to be resolved. I'm just going to trust. Just going to fill up, complete all the mandatory fields to be done. No CGT, no attributed income, no. Unfortunately, you need to complete that all the tax returns. When you prepare the trust tax return, some of the mandatory fields are required to be completed. I'm just going to add this versus on top.
Just while Sandov's doing that, if there's any other questions, feel free to pop them in the questions panel.
Right. Just going to the statement of distributions, which I'm going to show you that the linked clients, how you can just include that linked clients beneficiaries without doing that much data entry. Automatically, you can pre-fill the details, the beneficiary details into the tax returns. So I'm just going to show you that on the linked clients menu on the top. So we can see that the individual, which I've done the individual tax return, so which based on the linking, it is already available. So going on to the particular beneficiary, and just clicking on the TFN, which could give you autocomplete, like which is auto pre-filled. So selecting the individual should automatically pre-fill the details. If the client has an address, everything available should automatically pre-fill into the beneficiary section. And also, so when I'm talking about the beneficiary distributions, we have two options, like distribution fraction or distribution percentage. If there are multiple beneficiaries, you can just add the beneficiaries like a percentage. So in this case, it's 100%. Before I'm just entering 100%, I'm just going to give a 90% to show that. So there'll be errors occur when the distribution is not matching with the net income. So in that case, what we have done is that, like on the top where you can see a small, the yellow button, show distribution summary. So this will give you a short summary, so which can be like an show you that what are the fields available on the income and how it has been distributed based on the beneficiaries. In this case, it has a 90% has been allocated, and what is the balance amount, which are on the red, shows that it has not been balanced. So likewise, the addition next beneficiary, it is not required to be added as a linked clients, which the client is not your GovReports client. You can just add them manually, adding a beneficiary. So which I can just go and add a new beneficiary, manually adding the beneficiary. So based on the type, like an individual, and I'm just giving the 10% to the next beneficiary. It means that automatically you can see under the distribution summary, which has been automatically distributed. So, and you can see the summary, and also there is an options to show only what are the values available. That can give you, like, for example, if in this case it shows only the trust estate income of the trust estate, or the primary production or the non-primary production. You can see the details as well. Just going to give some additional information, so that automatically it could be after saving the details. So now I'm just going to the linked clients. From the linked clients, I can just right away, I can open the tax returns. Under the linked clients, you can see the client's name and the tax return menu. So clicking on this particular menu on the pop-up box, which will take you to the tax return directly on the next screen. So which you can see that the information should be automatically transferred from the trust tax return to the individual tax return. So you can see that all the incomes has been automatically changed. So I'm just going into the schedule. Now you can see the business partner and trust income section has been changed to the bold. So scrolling down the bottom from partner to trust, you can see the label over here. Transfer from the TRT. TRT means the trust tax return. And also we have given a quick link. So before which you can see the transfer from the trust tax return with the trust tax return link. So which you can open the trust tax return directly from the individual as well, quickly. So with with the latest changes, and latest changes based on the client's feedback and suggestions, so we are trying to improve the tax return module. So this one is very useful when you're having the whole the family as a client doing the trust, individual, company, partnership. This can be used to transfer from one tax return to the other tax return. This tax return, I'm just going to jump back to the trust tax return. Just going to show you this one. So like the trust tax return. So it's a similar thing. When you go to the declaration and lodge, you can see the options over there, like a client signature, date, save declarations. So family name is mandatory. It has to be fixed. All the errors needs to be completed. just going to add this as the other business income. Right. So which I've just added the name, but not the thing. So based on the errors, so everything is required when I'm adding the gross income. So it is asking for the main business entity section. So as I mentioned that, so all the errors needs to be resolved before, lodging the report to the ATO.
Just while you do that, Sandeep, we've just got a couple of questions coming from Lillian.
Yeah.
First one is, can you pause a return and return to it at a different time?
Sorry, Tony, say that again.
Can you pause a return or save a return and then come back to it later, I guess?
Yes, definitely. So where you can see that save options, it means that the report has been saved. Anytime, like a save and resume that. So you can I'm just going to show you this one. So we can see the save and exit. So the two ways that you can exit from a tax return. So down the bottom, you can see save and exit, or so on the top where you can see on the left hand side, the navigation menu. So with the three dots, you can just quickly jump into to a different section. Just going to click on the save and exit. So you can see that once I save a tax return, whether it is a draft or in the valid status, so you can see the tax returns within my lodgements, saved reports. So you can see the trust tax return and the individual tax return which I've prepared, which are in the draft. So you can see that one, clicking on the name will give you an options to edit on the top right. So clicking on the edit will take you back to the tax return. So it means that at what time that you left the tax return saved, so you can just resume from there, so when it is available.
Perfect. And another question from Lillian is, how can you amend a return?
Yes, I'm going to show that.
Yep.
So when the tax return has been already lodged within the GovReports, just a quick thing. So there are two ways that you can do that. If a tax return has been lodged outside of GovReports and you want to do a revision, so you need to start as a normal tax return, that how you prepare within the GovReports, like go to the forms and select the tax return and select the financial year, which you will be landed on this first screen. So first screen where you can see an option is this, an amended tax return. So when you say yes, you have to provide all the details like the amendment type code, amendment sequence number, amendment reason, so that it will be considered as an amendment, where you can see the label on the top left hand side corner. So that would say that this is an amended tax return. And when the tax return has been lodged through GovReports, and if you're going to the forms, when the automatically you can see revision button. When you click on the revision button, this section, like an amendment, report amendment, should be automatically enabled, and then it requires to complete these sections to do a revision.
Perfect. We've just got another one from Natalia as well. So she's saying, sometimes she prepares returns in August because the client needs to pay, but the client might want to lodge until May.
Yeah.
And she says that the system will start sending messages to either delete or lodge the form. How do we deal with this?
Right. So generally GovReports will be sending an automated messages. So when the tax return has been prepared, we send like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, and then 360 days notifications. So we send that report has not been prepared, has been prepared as no actions has been taken, but we wait until the 365 days to delete a tax return. So basically we send the notification. You can ignore that if you're waiting for the clients to be coming back to the lodgement, getting back to you for the lodgement. but you can do the law. I mean, the tax return would be deleted only after 365 days when it is untouched.
If you do reach to 365 and the client has not given you the authorizations to lodge, you can just go in, click edit, and then save, or save and validate again, and then it will have the 365 days again.
Perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. I'm just going to show you that how to do the lodgement. Going to the declarations, I'm going to do a straight lodgement and just show you that how quickly you can receive a receipt from the ATO, the lodgement confirmation. So just clicking on the confirm that you want to submit to the ATO. So when it is error free, that's it. The report has been submitted and you got the confirmation back from the ATO within seconds. And so quick thing. So just want to tell you that we have the history of the audit log about the tax returns, when it has been prepared, how it has been prepared, where the data has been transferred, whether someone is deleting any of the schedules or worksheets. You can see in the detail about each and every actions has been performed for the tax return. So which you can see that which have created the tax return, report, transfer from one tax return to the other tax return, automatic transfer, pre-fill, every activities within the tax return has been recorded. And so the other thing is that we have quickly, the tax estimate. If you could see on the tax return, on the saved reports or the history, we have introduced this section called the tax estimate, which will give you on the high level what is the estimate on the tax return, or whether it is an activity statement. You can see the details. If it is in the red, it is called the payable, which is in the green, it's a refund. So, and also you can see the detail tax summary. You can see the tax summary over here. So just clicking on the client's name on the history with the tax summary, rather than opening a tax return and viewing the estimate. So quick summary, you can just see that over here as well. These are the new features has been included. And one more feature that we are going to bring up that is going to be view only tax returns. So which means that just in case if you're sending it for an authorization to the tax agent, so the administrator to verify the tax return, rather than just sending a PDF copy, you can send they can just have a button to view tax returns, which means that there won't be any buttons or any fields to do the data entry. Just a plain, the whole tax return can be viewed with non-editable fields. That's going to come up soon. Right. Any other questions, Tony?
None yet, but we've only got a couple of minutes left. So I guess it's your final chance. If you do have a question, go ahead and pop that into the questions panel. We'll try and get those answered before we wrap up. Just got another one.
And one other thing, Tony, sorry to stop you there. So I have just one settings that we have recently introduced. So that will be useful for how you're preparing the tax returns. So which means that when you go to the settings and then lodgement settings, then you can see the report settings. So we have just, enhanced these settings based on the client's feedback, how the declaration settings needs to be on the tax return. So I'm just going to cover up only this tax return. Yeah, so previously I was telling about PDF copy to show the entire tax return sections, then you need to tick this box. Otherwise you will have only the particular fields on the tax return. So the report declarations, so which you can just customize based on your practice. So how the declaration type needs to be, whether it is an individual declarations on the tax return or it has to be the company, whether it is, you can see that individual means the declaration text would be the name of the person who is preparing, or the administrator, based on the selections down the bottom, to give you the name, declare that, or the business. If you choose as a business, it means that the declaration text would be V, the organization, the practice name, declare that would be the declaration text on the tax returns, and also on the PDF copy when you send it to the clients. Likewise, you can choose whose name needs to be pre-filled, whether the account administrator or the partner or the principal, that would be automatically available.
And hopefully that answers your question, Natalia. I think that's yeah, it does. Okay, great. It's classic. And then we've got one from Lillian. Where can I find the carried forward losses?
The carry forward losses would be automatically pre-filled based on the tax return. So as a previously, so that when you do that, like losses, if the previous financial year had the losses, if you're doing the rollover, automatically it will be pre-filled into that particular section.
Excellent.
Okay.
Just
So while we're waiting, do we have any? We also haven't covered the ATO check. So this is the new service that we recently released, and it's currently in beta. So for those that are interested and do quite a fair bit of individual lodgements, and you want to, for some of your clients that you want to specifically check and make sure the status the ATO lodgement status is transparent or easy to access to. The ATO checks give you that visibilities where you can see where the ATO is at in terms of their processing of your client's tax return. And also we also checked whether like there is when the ATO process the return, whether it's any difference from the one that you prepare in GovReports or in the tax software, whichever that you've used, as well as if you use the trust bank account details and or the bank details that you've initially entered into the tax return, and there's a change in that from the client's point of view, you can see that in the system within the platform as well. So if for those, like I said, if you are interested in that service, it's currently in beta. Just let us know if you want to try that. And it might be, it is an additional cost, but rather than if you do have a lot of individual lodgements and you want to make sure that your clients getting the service, like you're providing the service to your clients consistently without the embarrassment or getting surprises, that's the way to go. Let us know.
perfect. Thanks, Tiana. Yeah, so ATO checks, I guess the best way to think of it is it's a post-lodgement service. So if you, as Tiana said, if you do want to know once you've made that lodgement, what's actually happening with it, what stage is it at with the ATO, how much are we expecting to get back or pay, you can track that with ATO checks. So it's brand new. We're pretty excited about that. So I've got here, I don't think I've got any more questions. So anything else you wanted to cover, Tiana or Sandeep?
No, it's all good.
No.
Thanks, everyone.
All good. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time. We hope you learned something. Thanks, Sandeep and Tiana, for obviously, mainly Sandeep for doing the bulk of the work in the webinar today. We appreciate it. You can reach out to us if you need to. All the details on our website. So we do have phone and email support. So anything you're still unsure of, just reach out. We're always happy to help. But hope to see you at the next webinar.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.